All right. So good. This month is again my favorite. I don't know which month is not my favorite, but lettering is especially close to my heart. And I will letter anywhere, anytime. You'd have to stop me and shackle me. Every restaurant I go to, and they have this chalkboard. My hands are itching. Can I just go to the manager and say, just give me 15 minutes, I won't charge anything. I just need to see these letters put in order. There's no layout, there's no separation and all the, I mean, as beautiful as you think it looks, I know I can make it slightly better. I keep suppressing that urge. But I've also noticed that a lot of people like me enjoy letters, but have had this hurdle to get good looking letters out of onto paper. And I can guarantee you that the hurdles are very tiny. It's almost as if certain um, preconceived ideas have to be removed. And secondly, the just knowing a few guidelines about how to begin lettering can dramatically change your output. So, first and foremost, the idea that in order to have good lettering, you need to have a good handwriting is completely false. You could write an absolute chicken scratch and you could still be the world's best calligrapher or letter artist because the systems used for both writing styles and the application is completely different. So I'm going to introduce you to these systems, and using those, you can expand your lettering ability to all sorts of applications. We can start with something like books, journals, then labeling around your house. You could make large posters. You could literally do anything with any size brush and make it look beautiful. So today we are going to start off with just one lettering style. This is going to introduce you to the chisel pen. This has traditionally been the the common tool in most ancient lettering, ancient scripts. This was not the first tool used. The first tool was mostly just like the back of your brush. It was just any twig from anywhere. You pick it and you just start making some lines. Usually they're straight lines. And they were creating shapes which I'm sure all of you are aware of. They're called cuneiform. Before that, all lettering was not we didn't have letters. It was more about converting pictures into meanings. And here we have converted pictures into shapes, and those shapes have been assigned sounds. And then we club together certain sounds to create words that give meaning. So instead of just doing picture and meaning, we've gone through another system, which is called the rebus system. It's fascinating how much you can learn about letters. And I'm going to share a few videos on this. They are really long videos. I can watch them. I can binge watch them also one after the other, but I will encourage you, use this whole month, take time, maybe 20 minutes at a time, and watch these videos. Some are on classic calligraphy, some are on the history of writing. And the best bit is that these videos will not only introduce you to the information, but also show you the kind of lettering tools that are possible, which as a creative person, you will then be at liberty to choose and use and experiment with to come up with your own style of writing. So today we will need this chisel pen and we are going to use a pencil to make some lines. I normally for a script, we need very nice straight lines, use a ruler and measurements and things like that. But I want to avoid that as far as possible. I don't want to convert decorative lettering into a calligraphy session. That is a very formal session and that takes a lot of time and patience. But we have just a month to cover some interesting scripts. So I want to go about it with a little more casual feel, make you more comfortable with letters. And of course, there is a calligraphy class that happens every Friday. So if you feel that you would like to spend more time in this and perfect your script, you can then join the calligraphy class as well. Right, we are, I'm going to switch over to the other screen now. Those of you who have many colored pens, you could maybe choose three colors, a red, blue, and black. We could also use another, maybe black pen to write the ductus. I will explain to you what a ductus is. And just a pencil. I'll use a blue pen and a red pen to write the ductus and some notes to just keep them separate from my regular, just the regular lines. That way there's no confusion. Okay, now for the first thing you need to know about calligraphy is that you will land up using a lot of paper. And don't shy away from using paper. In fact, pull out all your old, maybe even books that you've used in the past and you don't need them anymore. All rough sheets, sometimes even newspapers can come in handy. So I'm going to start off with a few basic strokes so that you become comfortable with using this pen. We are going to make a few lines across the paper. Actually, since this is a very long line, let's make them vertical. That way it's a shorter line. It's just a 7-inch line and you don't have to make very long lines and worry about the line going crooked. Hold your pencil far away and make lines which are about 2 fingers tall or apart. They don't have to be exact, so don't worry about it and don't bother erasing your lines if they come a little wobbly. Leave a little gap between the bottom line and make another line. When you're making these lines, make them slowly and don't hold your breath. Try to keep a margin on the left and right. Try to make a line such that, don't go from one end to the other. There's something about leaving a blank margin on all sides that makes even practice work look beautiful. It gives a little bit of relief to your piece and then it can look like an artwork also. So I've just made lines worth about half the page and left rest of the page vacant. We'll come to that later. You don't need to fill up the page. Now I'm going to show you how to hold this pen. This might take a little while to get used to. Our pens, those of you who have this chisel marker, will have an angular tip. The tip is taller on one end and shorter on the other end. There are certain pens which don't have this as well. Then the flat brush will not have this. So you will be holding your brush. Either ways you hold it, it doesn't really matter. I'm going to show you the flat brush as well. 1 second. This water pen, which is a flat brush. So flat brush, it won't matter how you hold it. But with the chisel pen, I'm going to show you. For Elaine, I'm going to show you the left hand hold later. I might have shown it to you before, but I'm going to have to figure it out. All the right-handed writers.
No, don't worry. Yes, you have. I'll figure it out. Don't worry. Yeah,
All.
you have.
So you hold the taller end towards your thumb and the shorter end towards your pointer finger. Then keep the book at a comfortable angle and you will make a zigzag line in this manner. I want you to observe first and then start writing. Don't start writing with me. I'll wait for you. We want to make a line that goes up to about 45 degrees. where you're keeping your nib in such a way that the nib itself makes a 45-degree angle. So say, for example, if I were to draw a line at 45 degrees, my nib would rest flat on top of it, and I will draw it like this. Okay, so I'm going to draw a line. This is going to be the thinnest line my nib can make. Now, without changing this angle, I'm going to come down the same 45 degrees in the other direction. And you will see that you have an angle over here. The line does not become flat. It stays at 45 degrees simply because our nib is held at that angle. You continue this line, slowly go up, come down, go up, and come down. So this is your first exercise. You need to focus on keeping the angle the same. Now, when you're writing this, I want you to sit comfortably, hold the book with your left hand, and keep that as a permanent practice. As you can see, my 45-degree has changed. Here it's become maybe 60 degrees. So don't worry about that. But focus on getting a very thin line on the left and a nice fat line on the right. Okay, would you like to give it a shot? Those of you who can keep your videos on, it'll really help me because I'd like to see your posture. Sometimes people lean on one side and write. Sometimes they lean forward from their backs. Even I do it sometimes. So it helps to have someone look at your posture. So whenever you feel the need to move forward or bend further, move from your hips, not from your shoulders. Don't hunch your shoulders and come down like that. I just want to explain this to you. This can be very bad for your back. So when you are sitting, you need to don't hunch down like that and start writing. Don't lean on any one shoulder and write like this, because all of these will put your spine under pressure, and that can lead to a very bad shoulder problem. Your neck will start hurting, and within half an hour of doing this practice, when you get up, your lower back will pain like hell, and then you will never want to do calligraphy again. So plant your feet down on the ground properly. If those of you who are short like me, if you have a small stool or something, keep that under your feet so that your feet are supported. I don't have a stool like that, so I tend to take my feet up underneath the chair. But as long as the torso is balanced, it should be good. Don't take your feet and sit in weird position. 1 minute, huh, Janita?
Yeah.
You need to lean forward, lean from your hips. So this also can take some time. So now keep your left hand on your book always, always. Do not hold your chin, your head, or your knees when you're writing, because that dislodges your balance, and you tend to put in far too much pressure on your right hand. You will develop some kind of carpal tunnel because of that. So always keep yourself balanced. This also keeps you upright. When you do this, you naturally hunch like this. So then you put this under tension. The left hand will also keep your paper steady so that when you are writing, you don't have to worry about the paper slipping. And then the right hand can work much lighter. Okay, and most important, you have to breathe through this. Somehow lettering can make people very nervous, just like drawing. So you tend to hold your breath. And in order to not do that, try to do a long exhalation every time you put pen to paper. You need to also go at that pace. So inhale, put paper down, pen down, long exhale, draw your line, inhale, put pen down, long exhale. It's a good pace and good rhythm and will keep you going very happily. Okay, Janita, I can have a look now.
Yeah. Is it visible?
Your video is off right now.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, good. Yes. You can make the second line also.
Okay.
Aditi, how should I go about with my brush?
Yeah. So with your brush, you do the same thing. You hold the brush in such a way that you see the horizontal edge between your fingers. The opposite would be if you hold it sideways, you'll see the horizontal edge upright between your fingers. है ना? So this is how
Hmm.
you hold it. And you have to repeat the same thing. You don't need to necessarily keep any one um, uh, any one side higher or lower. So in your case, this is how it would look. The final effect would be exactly the same. You make a thin line in one direction and keep the angle the same, and you'll get a fat line in the other direction. Okay, those of you who finished this.
You look, can you see this?
I can. Yeah. Good. That's good.
I mean, that's how thick my brush is.
Yes, that is how you'll get.
Okay.
Okay, if you're comfortable with this, the next row, you maintain that same 45-degree angle that you have kept for the first line. And in this case, you will now maintaining that 45-degree angle, keeping the grip the same, the taller end at your thumb side. Place the pen down upright and make vertical lines. So you will get a line that looks like this. It is taller, or it sticks out towards the bottom left and top right. So we just make these straight lines coming down. This can take a little getting used to. It's a little disconcerting that you're holding the brush at an angle, but you're drawing a line at a weird angle to that tip. So unlike with our regular pen, with a calligraphy pen, you are sometimes required to keep moving your hand. You may not change the grip, but you keep moving your hand. In some cases, in most cases, you will hold it upright, but in some cases, you might just tilt it towards the left, tilt it towards the right. All those things will happen. So welcome that. At the end of the day, you just need a line that is uniform and consistent throughout. Now, here's the thing here, what we don't want. I just want to show you this. You don't want to press the nib too much because that will damage the tip. It'll become very fat and you won't get clean edges. So don't press it. The felt is very eager to write. Then you don't want to, if you're getting lines like these, that means you're probably not holding the pen properly. So you need to make sure that the entire flat edge makes contact with the paper. Only then will you get a proper line. It can also be that you start a line like this and then get a weird line towards the bottom. This is because you probably hold the pen very flat, and then as you come towards the bottom, you make it straight. So you get the proper line only towards the bottom because the nib becomes upright. But on the top, you held your normal writing position, and that's how you get a very thin line. So this is what you need to get used to. All lettering will be done with a different grip. We hardly ever write with a regular pen like that, holding it upright. Once you've made the vertical lines and you're comfortable with it, you can make horizontal lines. You still maintain that same angle.
Aditi, I have these pens. This won't do, right? A watercolor pen.
Let me just have a look at the tip and check this out. No, those are brush pens. So they will give you a very slim tip like these. I have the same ones. These we will use for another kind of lettering.
Okay. So now can you show me with the brush
Yes,
how
it's
I
the
could do the
same.
second?
Yeah, it's the same thing. With the brush also, you will hold the same angle that you held for this.
Aditi, can I show you my straight line? I'm not very sure.
Yeah, one second. So I'll just show Sonam this.
Okay.
It's the same. Now my pen width is different. That's why I will get a slightly fatter line. That's perfectly okay. Everyone's pen widths could be different. But look at where you are getting a spike. The bottom left and the top right in both cases. Nita?
My ending is
Yeah.
not coming at an angle. I want to know why.
Yeah.
Okay. Could you please share the picture on the group then so everyone can have a look? And then I'll
Okay.
also show it on screen
Okay.
and then we'll figure out. All right. Yes. Let me just share screen so I can show you what's happening here. Okay, this is very normal. So let's look at the positives. In the last 3-4 lines, you are able to touch the entire width of the pen down. So you're getting a nice fat line. Don't worry too much about the wobble. That is normal when we make very long lines. Anything longer than about a centimeter can be a little difficult for the hand to handle. So don't worry about that. That'll straighten out. Now I want you to just notice how the top is flat. And that flatness is because you're holding the pen flat. You may be holding your thumb on the left and your pointer finger on the right, yes. But when you position the pen on paper, that angle becomes flat. Go up to this point where you've drawn the green line. Do you see how the angle at the bottom of that line is at a 45-degree angle? That is because you're holding the pen at that angle. If you continue to hold the pen at that angle, but make a straight line, you will get those spikes on the top left and the bottom, top right and the bottom left.
Okay. And for the sideways, the horizontal, how do we hold that?
The same way, in this case, now when you have held the nib at a flattish angle for the vertical line and you continue the same angle for the horizontal line, naturally it has very little width to track the ink on. That's why you're getting the flat, thin line.
Yeah.
Yeah. The moment you change that grip of your nib, even the flat line will become slightly fatter.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, let me check with Janita also. Yeah, Janita, the tops of your vertical lines are fine. By the time you come to the bottom, you're probably rotating the nib inadvertently. That's why they're becoming flat.
If
Somewhere,
I straighten it, it's becoming proper. See, I'll just show you. Is this proper now? I'm just lifting my pen at the end. Then
you
I'm getting
yeah, you
the
have
angle.
to lift your pen at the end. Oh, it's also no, the green ends can also be too much pressure. So
Okay.
if you mean you're lifting your pen,
I change
as in
it
as
from
when you
here like this, and then it stops. But I don't get a straight, I get an angle then. I
no,
don't know
you
if
should
I'm
not.
doing it
No, no, you should not get an
perfect.
angle.
Okay.
You should, but it's okay. For now, it's fine. See, right now, the felt pen is also interacting with your paper. So we don't know what is happening over there. So it's going to be a game of pressure, checking out what is sufficient for your paper, the weather. If nothing else, you can always blame the weather for all these things. Okay, but what you see is usually a very clean result of how you are holding the pen. That's the best bit about this. There are no mysteries to this. Just fiddle around with your pen a little bit, rotate it a little bit, and you'll be able to get most of these lines. Okay, let me give you 5 minutes to make another set of vertical and horizontal lines. And if you don't mind, would everyone please share a picture of what you've done so far on the group so I can get a better look.
Aditi,
Yeah.
I just inadvertently found a very easy way for me to do the zigzag.
Oh,
Otherwise,
okay.
when I do the zigzag, it's like up on the first and down on the second, right? That's how we
Right.
were doing it.
Right.
But if I go, I don't know, I'll send you a picture, okay?
Okay.
It just became very simple. If I go the other way, I don't know whether you understand the other way, but I'll just send you.
Are you going right to left or you're going top to bottom?
Actually, kind of, yes. You know,
Yeah.
if I go mirror image, it's great. Or
Top to bottom.
how did you do the first? Yes, top to bottom. That's
Yeah,
it.
that is.
Yeah, absolutely sideways. If
Yeah.
you keep the book absolutely side, meaning actually at right angles to you,
Yes.
and then just pull the pen up, it's amazing. It's kind of the same way, but somehow it's ulta. I don't know how to explain it.
No, just tell me, I need to know the direction of your stroke now. Did you go
Okay.
from left to right or did you go from right to left?
So I went from right to left.
Right. Okay. And then you did this top to bottom and then you
Yes.
did again right to left. So
Yes.
every
The thin
junction
ones
you
came
lifted.
really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was so surprised. It was just so. Actually, I said, "Oh, let me do the zigzag. Cross each zigzag,
Ha.
just for the design." And then
Yeah.
I realized, oh, this is a much better way to do it. Wait, I'll show you.
So, yeah, to some extent, this is fine, Elaine, but the problem is that the
In the
Latin
lettering, it's not going to do, huh?
yeah.
I know. That's okay. That's okay.
Unless,
I remember. Yeah.
okay, so unless you can
Yeah.
come up with your own ductus.
Oh,
So let me just
yeah,
explain
I
what
know.
a ductus is to everyone else. So ductus gives you the direction and a sequence of your strokes. So if I were to give you a ductus for the zigzag stroke, I would draw an arrow for every direction that I took the stroke in. And in this case, it's fairly simple, one follows the other, but I would also otherwise give you a sequence. So I'll say 1, 2, 3, 4. This becomes significant when we start making letters, and I'm going to get to that soon. So in Elaine's case now, her ductus is a little confused. She is making 1 in the opposite direction, 2 correct, 3 in the opposite direction, 4 correct. So when we come to the sequence of writing letters, she might have to make a few adjustments if that is the most comfortable way for her to write. But again, I want to dispel the myth that only following the ductus will get you to the right letter. if you know the letter and if you know the shape that you have to make for the letter, feel free to modify the ductus to suit your hand and your convenience. At the end of the day, when you write a letter form, the letter form should look beautiful. Nobody's going to come and ask you how it has been done. You could write the letter with your nose for all anyone cares. As long as it looks beautiful, it's good. All right, so now moving on, those of you who've shared the pictures, I've seen them, they're on the right track. They may not be perfect right now, but they will get there. So the next one is trying to make curved lines. So in this case now, we continue to hold the nib at an angle. So I'm going to just draw a line on every corner to tell you what angle this is, about 45 degrees. I'm going to match the angle of my pen and I'm going to make a circle. So my circle is going to start a little from the right. Maybe I can explain it better this way. So if this is our circle, I'm going to start the letter from somewhere here, or the shape from somewhere here, and I might end it anywhere between here and here. And this is going to be the direction I'm going to take. Going anti-clockwise for the top and then clockwise for the bottom. Now, if you can observe this, here's how I'm doing it. I'm keeping my nib flat and I'm going to continue to keep it flat and come all the way to the other side. Like this. It's become very thin over here. And then I'm going to join from the other side. So you have to break your circle. Let me make it one more time. And now this is only because the best practice for making a circle would be using this ductus. And again, the reason for that is because sooner or later we are going to move to a tool that requires wet ink, not a felt pen. A felt pen can do anything. But if you are to use a brush, Sonam, you can start even from the top because it's near impossible to move the brush in the opposite direction. And then you come this way. So you get slightly fatter ends over here and here.
Aditi, can you do it with the marker one more time?
Yes. I'll do it like how I want to show Sonam also. Start from the thin end. And then from the top. Yeah, this is anyway better. Let's just ignore this. I'm shifting.
Yeah, this 11 o'clock suits me also better.
Okay, good. I think this is a safer bet for all tools. Oh, here's another thing. Sonam, if you're using, since you're using brush, keep your water and your paint on your right-hand side. Don't go over the lettering. It's totally unnecessary waste of energy.
Aditi, I don't think I got the second pattern right. Those straight lines.
Okay, have you shared a picture on the group?
Yeah, I have.
Okay, let me just quickly have a look. I'll do it. Give me a second. No? The vertical line, Sonam, is that what we were saying? They are tilted towards the right a little bit. Other than that, the edges are fine. Don't worry about the texture, that is normal because you're using a brush. And
I'm holding the brush correctly.
yeah, you're holding the brush correctly. You're just tilting the line a little to the right. That also happens often because you see, this is like an auto-correcting thing because you see the edge tilting towards the right. It almost seems as if you need to make the line like that. So you have to focus and almost force your hand to come straight down. It just automatically goes towards this side. So take your time doing it. Elaine's is looking good. Elaine, in your black zigzag line, I see the bottom has become a little flat. Tilt a little bit more so that you get a V tip at the bottom. You should not get a
Okay.
flat line.
Yeah. Actually, I've lost those felt tips. I can't find them also. I'm
Oh,
doing it with a chisel, but it
okay.
doesn't have that higher, you know what I mean? It's just
Ah,
flat.
okay.
So I'll have to concentrate a little more on the bottom.
Yeah,
I can do it. It's just
all right. Okay, Meeta's
Aditi, I'm not getting the circles. I've sent a picture. It's looking very, I don't know.
no, if
It's
these
in
are,
the thing.
if you've only made 3 circles, then I would urge you to make at least one more row,
Okay.
because you will make that adjustment.
No, I thought maybe I was just not holding it properly or something, that I'm not just getting that the thin to
So,
fat thin again.
yeah, so I'll tell you what's happening. You are doing it fine over here, and by the time you come to the
Okay.
bottom,
Hmm.
you are rotating the pen so that your
Ach-
pen then becomes fat. So imagine if this is your nib, this whole thing. You need to make a line. Okay. This, you need to make a line that sweeps like this. Okay.
Okay.
The nib has to continue to remain straight. But in
Acha.
your case, which happens with most people, is because we are holding it in an unnatural angle, you are doing this, and as you come down, the nib is also turning with you,
Okay.
and
Okay.
you're getting a thin edge here, and then it starts becoming fat. That's
Okay.
all.
Yeah.
So just hold it steady and don't allow that twist to happen. Okay, I'm looking at everyone else's also. Yeah. Ashika, your horizontal and vertical lines can have a slight uh, more tilted edge along the sides. Then Janita, yours is the same thing. I think your pressure is too much also. So hold it with a very light hand and just check if you're holding the book also, because if you're not holding the book, then your right hand becomes very heavy. So do this
Can
and
you show that once more? I feel I'm
yes,
changing the angle with the pen.
yes, I'll show you. So this angle remains the same. I'll try and just bring it a little closer so you can see what's happening. There are two parts to this. This is one, and then I'll draw the second part here. Okay, and you put them together. This is what you will get. All right. Okay. Okay, Saroj, in your case, you just need to make sure that the whole tip of the brush, pen, sorry, touches the paper. So just check your posture. Are you sitting in front of the book, or is your book slightly to the right or further away? You need to sit in such a way that the book is in between your shoulders. You should
Okay,
face the
got
book.
it.
Even if you tilt it, it's fine. That's okay for this script.
You
But
need to tilt it, no?
yeah, you can tilt it. Keep your hand comfortable. If you keep
Ah.
it straight, then your elbow comes inward and then it becomes very difficult to write some of these strokes. So it's okay to tilt it a little bit. We have drawn these baselines, so you should be able to write properly on that, like we do normal lettering.
Ah.
Don't worry too much about the wobble in the line because long span lines takes a little while to become steady. But
Okay.
focus on keeping the tip of your pen touching the paper at all times. Then you will automatically get those fat lines. You've got a fat line on your horizontal line. See? You
Yeah,
also
got it.
have a fat line in part of your vertical line. So that means the nib is okay and it can touch the paper. The places where it is not touching is also natural because if this is a tool that you've not used frequently, we always tend to just write with the tip, with one tip.
Hmm.
And we hold the pen at a very steep, not steep, very shallow angle when we are normally writing. So we by default go to that position to hold the pen, and then we get all these weird shapes. So just focus on holding it upright, touching the tip properly, and then drawing a line. You'll get it in no time.
But one question I had, Aditi, when
Yeah.
you're holding the pen upright, that's correct. But
Right.
see, it is in an angle, no?
Uh-huh.
So one part is little low, one part is high. So which part should be like first? The lower part or that's what I.
It doesn't
It's an
matter. You will touch the whole thing like that.
It
So
doesn't matter whether it goes top to bottom or top to down or down to, that doesn't matter.
I don't understand. You mean the line?
No, I mean the tip of the pen, it's
Hmm.
not straight, it's at an angle, like it's
Right.
at an angle. So the one part is down, one part is on top,
Hmm.
right?
Yes.
So which part should be like on the right, on the side away from you or the side towards you?
Right.
So which
Got
one should be towards you?
it. Yeah. So when you hold the pen like this with the taller tip
Ah, the taller one, yeah. Huh.
towards your thumb and the shorter
The,
tip towards your
the,
pointer
the
finger.
taller tip towards my thumb. Okay, yeah. That is
Yeah.
important, no?
Yeah.
Okay, now
Then
understood.
automatically your angle is fixed. Like you know that
Okay.
the taller side is towards you, the shorter side
Okay.
is away
So
from
the
you.
taller one should always be towards me.
Yes,
Whether it's a circle or a straight line, anything.
correct.
Okay, okay. ठीक है.
Yeah.
I was getting confused in that.
Yeah, good you asked.
Okay.
Okay, so let's move on and make some more lines and we can start making some simple letters. Now this time round, make the lines just like I said, not maybe the whole two fingers because or actually wait a minute, I'm going to show you what to make. So if you want, just keep your pencils down. I'm erasing these lines because I've jumped ahead by making these lines. I want to show you how these lines should be ideally made. Just keep your pens down, shut the lids so they don't dry off. I'm making one line at the top. I've made it slightly darker because I want you to see this line. When we write letters, today I'm going to start you off on this basic lettering style script, which is called the foundation hand. This one is a nice upright script. It's easy for you to write and it's very versatile. From here, we can move to a lot of different styles like the italic style and also to things like the Gothic. Everything becomes easy, but I want to show you some of the simplest things to do. Now, here's how I'm going to be sending you the script as a PDF, which you can print and keep for yourself. There is a certain proportion to how these letters have been written. A certain height, width, and also spacing in between. That is determined by a certain, that proportion is built in using what's called a scale. This is the scale made using the tool that we are going to use to write the letters. In our case, we are using a chisel pen. So the width of the pen is the unit by which the scale is made. So this is one pen width. Next to that, the second, third, fourth, so on and so forth. So when we write these letters, we count the pen widths that we need for the height. In this case, now the width of the O is, I go from the baseline to check where it begins from the bottom, and I count these pen widths. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is the reason why the pens, these lines are also made long and short, so that they become easy to count. So I'm going to make these pen widths. In this case, it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for these minuscule letters, which are these small letters. In this way, don't do this right now. I want to just show this to you. I'll give you time to do this. We have to do this very slowly. In today's class, even if we finish one page, that is good. That's a good speed. So I'm going to make these lines holding my pen flat, vertical, upright, not at this angle. I'm holding it flat, vertical, and I'm going to draw a line that's maybe about 1 centimeter or so long. Don't draw, just watch. Right next to that, I'm going to carefully place the pen and draw the next line slightly shorter. Next to that, I'm going to draw the next line as tall or as long as the line, the first line, then a short line, and then a long line. So this gives me a 5 pen width height. And measuring that, I will draw a baseline. Now, as you can see, it would be great if we were doing this with a scale, but for our purpose, I'm not going to use a scale. I'm just going to try and equalize visually. Okay, now you can give it a shot. And if you don't get the scale to look like this, make another one right next to it. Make the scale with the pen you are going to use to write the letters. Don't make it in green and then write in red. Don't make it in a black pen and write it in a flat brush. If you're going to write it with a flat brush, make the scale with the flat brush. If you're going to write it in a green pen, make it in a green pen, the scale. Okay, do you want to give it a shot? Even making the scale itself is an exercise. So even if we don't write any letters over here, that's fine. Use the same pen to keep making the scale over and over 3-4 times till you get a nice, elegant scale like this. And also you're getting no overlaps. I'll show you the stuff that can go wrong. The few things that definitely can go wrong is making your scale like this. Of course, I'm exaggerating. This is wrong. Trying to make a scale where you overlap. This is wrong. Making a scale where you leave gaps. This is wrong. And these things will happen. So don't beat yourself about it too much. This is all a part of making your hands steady with a completely new tool.
You draw the baseline before or after?
No. I drew the line on top first. This one was drawn first. And then after measuring, I drew this one. in this respect, you will appreciate how the Devanagari script is superior to the Roman script. They've got it all really weird. They start writing from the top to the bottom, but they first draw an artificial baseline, but they measure it from the top, then they draw it at the bottom, then they put the words on the bottom line, then they draw the top of the next line. From there, they will measure the bottom of that line and then sit the words on top of that line. It's really crazy. But in Devanagari, we draw the baseline as we write. So you will draw a baseline, simple enough. And in the olden days, they would draw the entire line and then write the letters right below that. Much, much better technique of writing. So you know how tall you need to write, and then you can draw the next line and proceed. And also there's no need to erase the baselines. It's part of the letter. In so many ways, after I started doing lettering, I realized that Devanagari is, or Sanskrit written in Devanagari is a very superior script. Okay, since I've made this explanation here, I'm going to redraw this at the in a second space, but you don't need to do that. If you're comfortable with what you've drawn, that's fine. If you're not and you're still getting to a perfect scale and you want to redraw, then go ahead and do the same thing. Draw a line on top. Sorry, the top line, and then you will. Now, since we are making minuscule letters, that's small letters, we will draw the lines that we are drawing also have their own names. Like we have baseline, which is this line. For minuscule letters, the line that determines the height of the letters is called the X line or the waistline. Now, the cheat's way of figuring out whether you've drawn this properly or not is to just take any straight edge and measure your scale and just keep measuring through the line. I've obviously made this slightly shorter here. I'll adjust it. You can also make this scale on both sides and then join the two lines, the two edges. You can start the scale off with a small line, a short line, and then make a long line, short line. Either way is fine, as long as they are distinguishable and they're touching, just about touching next to each other and even throughout. Okay. Now,
Vritti,
yeah.
last time we done a really, another way of doing this side ones, which I remember and I'm used to. I can do this, where you did one this way and one that way. You know what I mean? One towards the right and one towards the left.
That is also
yeah, it was a very, very neat way and was very good. We didn't have to think about, shorter and longer. It was
Yeah, that's also another way of doing it.
It's and it looks really nice. Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, is everyone comfortable with this now? Have you made these? Yes, yes. Any problems with anyone's scales and baselines? No?
I think mine is overlapping. The other technique, what Elaine said,
Huh?
that I can make out. The height is more.
Okay,
So I've
all
cut
right.
the height.
Okay, so you want to change it? Use this then, doesn't matter. Okay, so let's start writing some of the letters now. Use the same pen that you made the scale with. Since we've just done the ovals, we'll first do 3 oval letters. Let's start with the O. The angle of the pen is at 45 degrees now, not upright like this. And throughout, it is going to remain at 45 degrees. So this script that I'm showing is technically based on the foundation hand. There's a little bit of a difference between this and foundation hand, which I'll explain to you in a bit. So here's the ductus. You start from this point and make the first stroke down and the second stroke to the top. This is the letter O, obviously. Now, because I hesitated over here, I got a really angular bottom. It's not really nice. So I'm going to make it again. In every shape you make, when you're doing lettering, it's good to study the shape and see what might be happening and how you can improve that shape. Because whatever you are doing is becoming muscular learning in your hand. If you are making a certain shape that is not looking nice, and you don't investigate it and you make the next shape that looks exactly the same, you are embedding the wrong muscular memory. Your hand is learning how to hold the pen, how to move the pen, at what pace, how it glides on paper. And if you keep doing the same thing, you will naturally learn to continue to do that and you will build your own hurdle. So as soon as you make a letter, go back, check it, see what happened over here. I realized that I needed to make it very smooth. I stopped over here, so my grip changed. That's why I got this little dent in the shape. Then when I came down, I was second guessing myself and then I went straight up. But from the top, it turned out really nice. Now, I want you to think about all sorts of things when you are correcting the line, which also starts with posture. Have you changed your posture suddenly? Placement of your book. Grip of pen, has that changed? Angle of nib, has that changed? So in posture, you could be sitting a little hunched or a little too straight. Something might have gone wrong. Placement of book. Very often, the placement can be away from your active zone. And then you get a very weird angle in one places. I have one student who consistently writes with a book on the right side and beyond her right shoulder. And she leans almost sleeping to the left. And that's because as a child, because she always found writing boring, she would lean and sleep on her table and write. And now she can't write straight. It is so sad to see. And I think she's in her 30s now. So I want to show you this. So she draws like this when she comes to class. So she's seeing everything as an angle. and she cannot sit straight and draw. So I have to make her straight, and then she doesn't know what to do with her hand. And she's very uncomfortable. So when I tilt her book, it doesn't work. So she's working with me on just correcting her posture. So if you catch yourself doing this, you see all your pressures on the left. Your hand does not have any stability. It's trying to hold the paper and also make it at the same time. So that means the placement of the book. It needs to be between your shoulders. And almost like old-timey typewriters, if you're writing on a wideish paper, if when you finish writing what's in front of you, move the paper. Don't move your hand to the right. So those things you need to remember.
I had a question.
Yeah.
This, the measure, we have to do it on both sides of the margin, even on the right hand. Okay. And what's called, you call it a measure?
It's called the scale.
Scale, okay.
And each unit of the scale is called a pen width. Yeah.
Aditi,
Yeah.
when I'm drawing the O,
Hmm.
when you're drawing it, a part of it is coming thin and a part of it is coming thick.
Yes.
But that's not happening. It happened only once with me. And the remaining 3 times it's coming like almost same.
Yeah. So in your
Once
case,
it happened, it's giving that 3D effect, when it comes thick and thin, again thick, then thin. Only once it happened out of 4-5 times I tried. So I don't know how should we get that thin and thick effect. Like
you're probably rotating your pen like this. So as
Oh.
you're drawing this, you're rotating it and it's becoming thick all over.
Oh,
Yeah. So
so
here
the taller
again,
side should always be towards me. Always.
yeah, that should always be towards you, and the angle should always be at 45 degrees.
Acha. The
Always.
pen should not rotate.
No, it should not rotate.
Okay, I'll try that.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Okay.
Aditi, is my O okay?
Checking. Looks okay-ish. But the thin part is coming right on top. It should come at 11 o'clock.
Okay. Okay.
So in your case, I think you're holding the pen flatter. So automatically you'll get thinner edges where the flat end is running flat along the line. If you do it this way, then you'll get it flat at 11 o'clock.
Okay.
This is looking fine. So this the scale, just remember this. If you want to make a ductus over there also, because I remember when I taught in college, for some reason, the students over there got into the horrible or weird habit of making their ductus like an E. So they started doing this. I'm going to write it in 2 different pens so you know what I'm talking about. They made a vertical line because this looks like a vertical line. And then like really dumbos, they started making this because that is what they saw in this shape. And they thought that this is the scale. So they visually it looked fine till I caught one chap doing this in class and I was shocked. And he said, but that's what it looks like, and I've made it perfect. So just remember that this is made one stroke after the next. I don't know how one can forget it, but over time, maybe it happens if you're not doing it frequently that you look at the shape and say, oh, I remember something like that, and some horizontal lines, but this looks like an E, I'll make it like an E. So just make a note of that. Or if you make it like this, there's lesser chance of you writing an E over there.
There's no chance of overlap in the second technique. In the first technique, there's...
That's true. That's true. Okay, if you're comfortable with the O, is everyone okay with the O, or do you still need time? Because we don't need to rush through this. We can bleed this into next week's class as well. I'd rather do this properly than rush you through it. Then we do no script dhang se. Okay, so the next stroke, the next letter is quite simple. You do this the same way. Start off from 11 o'clock and draw the bottom, but come only up to maybe 5 o'clock. And then from the other side, come till about 2 o'clock. So you get the letter C. The starting point over here is again this level. And it's very important now that you don't change the angle, because you want a flat, fat edge on the top and a thin edge at the bottom. Okay, I'm gonna just leave my desk for 5 minutes. I'll be back. Till then, you can practice the C. Okay, I'm back. How's it going?
The angle of the C, the down and the up, it should match.
No.
Like it comes in a straight line.
Oh, next to, like over
Yes,
here, you mean?
yes.
Yes. Yeah, I guess that's a good point. But it has to, don't try to unnaturally do it. Hold the book, Janita.
To show, because the first time I did it, I went beyond. Is it visible? And then I tried to match at 2 o'clock.
No, don't try to match it. It should come automatically. If you're making it around the proper circle, it'll come automatically. I think that should work.
Aditi, just wanted to confirm, when you're drawing the scale, you hold the brush, or the pen flat or on the tip?
Yeah, no. So you hold it upright like that. Let me maybe show you with a paper instead. So this is how I'm holding it, perpendicular to the baseline. And then I will draw these lines.
Got it.
Like this. And when we write, we turn this sideways to 45 degrees and we write like that.
Aditi, can you show the C again?
Yes. Start from this point.
Okay.
Like the 11 o'clock to the circle. So you will get a shape like this. It's almost like a sickle shape. And then you come to the right.
Okay, thank you.
Now, the best bit about this tool and many of these scripts, the way they came to be, is the fact that the edge, in many cases, forms part of the letter quite automatically. So this thick and thin is just an automatic end result of using a pen which has a wide edge. The next letter is going to have one other feature, which is also pretty much like a built-in because of the wide edge of the pen. So we're making the E. Normally, when you make an E, you'll probably make it like this, and I mean, that's the shape you would make. This is how you'd make the E if you want to make it circular. In this case now, we are not going to get this sharp tip, because in order to get this tip, we might have to shift the angle of the pen. We don't want to do that. So we are going to make a C. And then match the angle in such a way that we are able to make a shape like this that comes and just extends like a little beyond this E, because if we take it any further, we might get a weird shape.
Is the flat line, when you close the E, are you using it like perpendicular?
No. It's the same 45-degree angle.
Okay.
I don't change the angle at all.
But then how come the sleeping line is not as thick?
That's because the angle of the line and the angle of the pen have got a certain proportion. Now over here also you'll notice the vertical straight line is much fatter than the horizontal straight line. And to that, the rounded straight line, because it comes like this straight line, you make with the complete flatness of the pen. When you make it at an angle, it becomes slightly thinner just because you angle it. And then horizontal becomes even thinner because that 45 degree does not work well for this angle. You know what I mean? It's like if I wanted to, you must have probably seen this in, let me just show this to you. So here we have two lines and I have this pen. I can't get it through this space if I go flat. But if I turn it on its side, like we are making the edge of our pen, I can make a line. That means that this would be a thinner line drawn than if I held it on its side. Get it? That is how the angle of the pen works. Ashika, is that clear?
I get it conceptually. If you could draw the E again.
Yeah.
My shape is looking quite ugly.
So let me see what is happening with your E. But you know why? Because you're not completing the circle. You made it very tiny on this side, I think. Can you extend it a little bit towards the right?
Could you show the ductus for the E?
Yes. We make the first part just like the C, exactly like that. And then the second part, you make it from left to right. Now, like I said here, however you make it, it's up to you. I often have a problem with trying to attach to the right. So when I'm making this, I made this, I deliberately hold the pen up in the air. I don't make the line from the left. I bring my pen down. In the air, I glide it to the left to figure out where I should position it. And then I will draw the line from left to right. I need to stay true to the ductus simply because if my tool changes, my line can be drawn only in the left to right direction. So I don't want to practice writing from right to left. It'll bring me a heap of problems later in the future. But I've manipulated the line, or at least the positioning of the line, in such a way that I can always make a predictable line like that. Okay, let me make another E for Ashika. Now, henceforth, you must remember, no practice without drawing a baseline. Absolutely not allowed. At least a baseline must be drawn. Once you become comfortable with the baseline or with the lettering, then you can do whatever masti you want. Even if it is this kind of a baseline where it's not absolutely straight, drawing these proportions makes a big difference. Okay, Ashika, I'm making it again if you want to observe. This is one. I think this will go higher. This comes down. And then I'm going to float my pen above. This is the position I want my nib in. I come to the side. I place it on top of the already existing line. And then I draw a line going sideways. That ends right here so that I get a nice flat end on the right. It will always be the same thin. And the best bit is, if you change your tool and you write with a much fatter tool also, because we are adhering to these strict guidelines, this E will look exactly like this, whether it's blown up or even made tiny. if you have a small pen, a slightly less thick pen, less thick would be a thinner pen. When you make that scale, automatically the height of the letters will become smaller. But if you follow the ductus, the shape of the letter will be exactly the same at a smaller scale. So to their credit, the Romans designed this script very, very beautifully. It was so tight. And the history of the script is also fabulous. As the Roman Empire grew, they had to unify the script and make it in such a way that any karigar across the empire could chisel these letters onto rock edicts.
Doing Lego.
And they would be placed all over the countryside. So you will come across in one of the documentaries that I'm going to share with you, the 1 minute, sorry. This the story about the Roman construction projects all across. They've built a lot of aqueducts. They've built obviously a lot of buildings, mostly for their use, but also to spread the Roman culture across Europe. So in that, whenever there was a construction project, even historically, even from the time of the ancient Egyptians, there was this custom of writing who had put in the money or given the orders for that construction project. And because of that, we know whom to blame for all the stuff or who to appreciate. And also that helped in keeping records, because these were large funded projects and you needed to know what was happening. So while the percentage of people who could read those letters was still very, very small, maybe about just 1 or 2% of the world's population was literate at that time, they did take the effort or make the effort to write this down, because it was almost like, for whoever it's worth, these are the details of the construction. Even in India, you will see lots of these edicts all over the place. Wherever you go, there's these Ashoka stambhas and all put up everywhere, and they have pretty much the same data. So because they needed that written everywhere, and they would appreciate if the people who are carving the letters would have the same style throughout, they designed these letters on which the foundation hand is based, with such a strict scale that you just cannot go wrong. I could be writing here, you could be writing there. If we follow these rules, everyone's lettering looks the same. So to some extent, formal calligraphy is about everyone being able to write the same script in the same manner. The one who follows the rules the best is the greatest. So that is like perfectly like the Indian school system. Don't bring in any creativity, just do a lot of gada majuri and regurgitate everything that has been done for 2,500 years. And there is great value in that, because all the other scripts that of course, it's a fantastic script. You just cannot go wrong on readability. Many modern fonts have tried to be creative, but they just do not get that consistent elegance that the Romans got in their Roman script. Now, what we are doing, however, is just laying the foundation, in a sense, for you to understand what goes into writing scripts. And you cannot do that better than a foundation hand or some of the classic scripts. Once you have these concepts down, you can then go ahead and do whatever else you want to. Your script will always look elegant. It'll always have balance, and you will also be able to pair them together so that it looks good. I have found that, at least for myself, I could never figure out why my letters, even if I take 3 or 4 different types of scripts, don't look as impressive or didn't look as certain calligraphers and lettering artists that I used to admire. Over time, then I started experimenting with a whole lot of stuff. And I also read up a lot on scripts, of which some I'm going to share with you during this month. So you know how to put together different scripts. It has to do with a lot of rules of art itself, about composition, color, how color works with each other, how spaces need to be distributed. It's pretty much the same thing, but our tool is going to be letters this time. So I'm going to leave you with this for the week. I want you to take out all your Raddi papers. Look for papers where you can see what you are drawing. Unlike that pencil yoga where I was recommending you do it on newspaper, here it would be nice for you to study your letters. And you do exactly only what we've done today. Do not try to go ahead. I'm going to send you the foundation hand this week for you to just have a look. And if you're anything like me, you're going to just go ahead and do it any case. So go ahead and do it. What can I say? I'm not there to hold your hand. But don't be afraid of goofing up. There will be some goof ups, but that's a good thing. That's the best way to learn, because then you'll have more questions for me next time. And if you can figure it out, because it's not like theoretical physics or something. You can just figure out, it's usually the same things. How's your posture? What is the angle? Are you twisting your pen? One of these will, if you adjust, you should be able to do it. Practice your O's, the O, C, and E, and your scales. You can practice for just about 15-20 minutes a day. Even that is fine. If you don't have, if you have ruled paper, then you don't even have to bother drawing many of the lines for any of the exercises that we do that don't require, that are not letters. If we have letters, I would appreciate if we make a scale and then write only on that scale for now. Any questions so far?
Aditi, I have two questions. One is, how close to the nib are you holding this pen? And what is the width of the letters?
The width of the letters is that which fits in one proper circle, the ones that we are doing right now. So if you look at geometry, you can fit a circle inside a square. So whatever is the height, that will be the width. But this is simplifying or oversimplifying it. In some places, the circular part of the circle or the bulge of the circle can go just a little out of the square. That's because we need it visually. But if you, for now, you can just keep the circle and, sorry, the vertical and the horizontal about the same, and you should get that shape. And we've done only 3 letters so far. In the rest of the letters, that proportion will shift a little bit. I'm holding the pen like a normal pen, so just about here, but I hold it upright. So I'm not holding it like the normal pen. I need to consistently hold it such that that tip fits. And also, yeah, for the chisel pen, you might have to hold it a little outward, not even fully upright. A little outward might also do, but not like this. You know, this holding the pen, if this is the circle, this is about at 3 o'clock to you, to your torso.
Okay, thank you.
Aditi?
Yeah.
I'm facing one problem. So when we do the first part of the arc of the circle, it comes quite okay. But when I start doing the second, you know, because of the overlapping, I think, of the thinner and the start of the other one, I feel it becomes thicker.
It could, yeah, that could be the case.
So we need to, so we have to be very careful of where we begin the second arc.
Yes.
We should not overlap on the previous one. Because the previous one comes very thin initially, but when I start with the other, then it becomes little. Then the thin goes.
There are two possible reasons for this. One is because we are writing with a felt pen, this ink is very liquid. When you place it on a wet sheet or slightly damp space because you've already made a letter, that might create a bleed. So that's one. Second is that in placing it, sometimes you may not be able to place it right on top, and you could just be placing it off or just at a slight change of angle, so you get a slightly thicker line. So one of the two might be happening. If you do it a little slowly, then there's a chance that the first part will have dried by the time you make the second part. Also, just check if your pressure is a little more than required. We all have grown up using terrible tools like a ballpoint pen now. So ballpoint pens often, though they're supposed to be very smooth and all, they need to be pressed. And no matter how much you press them, nothing happens to the tip. This wasn't the case if you'd been writing with ink pens. I'm sure you will have experienced that. Today's kids have not even experienced that. So they don't know what it feels like. And they in the writing smooth, their handwritings are rubbish. So just check the pressure. And again, if you feel you are pressing too much, you again see whether you're sitting like this, because this also adds to the pressure of your right hand.
Okay, I'll try it.
Okay. Okay, so if you have any more questions, please feel free to put them on the group, because I know that this is like kindergarten. There can be learning difficulties that you didn't realize you even had. And having a learning difficulty is not a problem. It's perfectly okay to discover something new about yourself, and everything is difficult in the beginning. So share your images on the group, and let's have a discussion about it. There could be some problems that you might be facing that I may not be able to foresee. So if you don't share it, I may not be able to diagnose it and give you a solution. You might also need a unique solution for yourself. So it's perfectly okay to be unique in that aspect.
This E ka angle, that joining is it's not happening. How much ever I air it and put it from the other side, and I just stop, and I don't know, it's not even the right width or the right angle.
No, but
and I'm so tempted to, that angle is there. I want to draw an angle line down to the, you know what I mean? That coming straight in the middle is so difficult to manage to join up with the outside,
No, in your case,
like that would be okay.
So in your case, Elaine, because you are left-handed, try it out. Because when we start working with the ink, your tool is going to be held in such a way that it might not be a problem for you to draw a line from right to left, coming down from that slant of the E. Give it a shot.
I mean, I'll try different ways. Anyway, I just have to get that, that nice join. It's at an angle and it's a straight that comes. So that's the tricky bit.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Yes.
Okay. Okay, so that's it for today. I'll see you again next week. Bye, everyone. And I'm doing the Instagram session this afternoon at 3 o'clock. So if you all are free, just bring whatever tools you have, sketch pens, watercolor, and let's make a nice poster. I have shared this announcement on all groups. Please share it with all your friends also, because this is a nice big week and today's session is going to be very good. So I can guarantee it'll be fun for all. And then you can all share your pictures with each other on Friday. Okay, bye everyone.
Bye, thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Aditi.
Thanks, bye-bye.